The Working Artist Project is brought to you by Second Line Arts Collective. Learn how you can support at secondlinearts.org.
We're creating a platform for those who are curious, one that tells the story from the artist's perspective. Moments in time, captured from the innovators who are reshaping dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is the Working Artist Project.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Working Artist Project. My name is Darian Douglas, and we also have the one and only Gregory G.
Good evening, Mr. Douglas. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. You know what I realized this week about you, Greg?
Oh no! What did you? What did you realize?
Hey, man, you are a French Hawaiian, man. I've been knowing you for I've been knowing you for 15 years or something crazy like that. And I just was like, wait, this cat is a French Hawaiian. You the only one, man. Did you know
the
that?
Only French Hawaiian? Actually, I may have forgot that myself too, man. I appreciate you reminding me.
That's right.
And I have to say right now, you told me the story about everything going wrong on the stream earlier, right? I can't figure out why my Logic doesn't want to record.
Oh man, it's all right. It's one of those days, man. Newton's law, right?
Newton's law, man. But there's only one way to counteract Newton's law, and that's we have to have a bad motherfucker on the show tonight.
Oh well, we did that. We did that.
Yeah, we definitely did that. So yeah, man, I'm so happy to have had the chance to meet this gentleman. Was listening to him for quite a while as when I was younger, and he was a huge influence and a very inspirational alto man. And so we're super excited to have Mr. Tim Green on the show tonight.
Absolutely, man. Before Tim gets in here, I'm just gonna read off some names because people probably don't even know, man. But this dude is serious, man. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I should put an effect on my voice right now. Jill Scott, Herbie Hancock, Kirk Franklin, Donnie McClurkin, Mary J. Blige, Aretha Franklin. This is crazy, man. He got somebody on this list you like, no matter who you are on this planet. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty incredible list.
Yeah, bro, it's insane. I can't wait to get Tim in here so we can pick his brain about how does one even play with Earth, Wind, and Fire and Herbie Hancock. That's crazy to me, man. What's up, Tim? Welcome to the Working Artist Project.
What's going on, fellas? Good to be here. It's really good.
How are you?
Doing well. How y'all doing?
Great, man. Great.
Wonderful.
I wanna get right into it, man, because you're super diverse. And like, how does that even happen, man? You know, I'm gonna say it happened at church, but I want to hear it from the source.
It's kind of deep. It grew up for me meeting just so many different people. I spent a lot of time in New York, and I also spent a lot of time in LA. So the main focus for me was, playing jazz. I went to MSM, and I was in New York, and I was just trying to play with Roy Hargrove. That was my whole goal. While I was in, I'm going to play with Roy Hargrove by my third year in New York or something like that. But anyway, that was my main track. But along the way, I just started meeting different people, that were in these different genres. Like I met Keon Harold. I met my good friend Marvin Thompson with Mo Horns, and he is like one of the best horn arrangers in gospel music. So he would take me along and do stuff with him. Along the way, I met, who else was there? Just so many different people, man. I met Ambrose Sakamushi, a good friend of mine. I met him while I was there. So while I was in New York City, I was playing on gospel gigs with Israel Houghton and Fred Hammond. Then I'd be at the Jazz Gallery playing with Ambrose and then playing gigs. We did this gig with Roy down there for Trumpet Shelf Sound. And so I was on that. And then at the same time, I'll be doing horn section stuff. Like we did a pre-recorded tape that for Destiny's Child with a horn section. So it was just like so many different things happening at once. Then once I moved to LA, it was a whole nother thing. I started meeting different people. And next thing you know, I ended up, meeting Ricky Behind and people like that. So I had a chance to play. That's how I got a chance to play with Earth, Wind, and Fire. That was, I played on it was a tribute to Clive Davis they did in New York City.
Okay.
And and Ricky Minor was putting together the band. A good friend of mine recommended me for the gig, and I got a chance for Earth and Fire, Jennifer Hudson, all of these different people. And then, like at the same time, I'll be playing with Eric Reed, and we'll be at the Vanguard like the next week. And then, like a month later, I will be on the road with Michael Bublé, where I met Greg. We'll be doing that. So it was just like all these different where I was just meeting all these people, and then one thing snowballed to the next thing. But it's just been a crazy story. I mean, so many different stories in there that I could talk about, but it's just been a great journey, man, just to be in these different environments.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like such an incredible story. You know, like for a young musician, I feel like that is kind of like the dream, is to have the opportunity to play with our heroes, to play in all styles of music and with some of the baddest cats out there. So like what, in your opinion, like I kind of want to nerd out on some music stuff, but how do you make that happen? Like what is the skill set? Like how do you put that skill set together of being able to play with Michael Bublé, being able to play with Christian McBride, being able to play with Earth, Wind, and Fire? Like how does that happen?
I think when it comes to just like you playing these different genres, you just got to build a reputation of really just being a guy that's like ready to go to bat when it comes to doing gigs. You have to be super flexible.
What does that mean? Like exactly.
Right. So no matter if somebody sends you some music with just a MP3 file, or if somebody sends you some concert charts that's not in your key, whether somebody's like, look, man, rehearsal, I need you to fly me. Greg, you know this, well, I need you to fly halfway on the other side of the world to do this gig. Or if the gig is right down the street and it pays the same as the gig that is all in California. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, you just have to be super flexible. And that's one thing I've just been learning over time. Like when I was in the Monk Institute, I didn't know that I was learning this skill, but pretty much everybody in the band would write their charts out in C in concert. So we did that for about 2 years. Everybody would just write their tunes out and bring them in. And then over time, I was just learning how to just read concert charts for the most part. So that's one thing that just helped me out because, you know, cats send you music and sometimes it's in B flat and C. You don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, man, can you send me E flat and make sure it's in the right register? You just don't want to be that guy. You just want to get the music. You want to get the music, send you what they have. And that's where the real work comes in. Like you can ask my family, my wife and my kids, like when I'm at home, before I do the gig, they pretty much know all the music. They know what daddy's doing that week. Like, are you going to be on tour? Are you going to be playing with Christian McBride? Are you going to be at the Keystone with Cyrus? Like, depending on what music that I'm shedding for the most part. So that's one thing. So, and then I was playing with Mo Horn's gospel horn section for like a long time, and everything is by memory, it's by charts. It's a whole nother language. So I'm just building my ear, playing with Marvin. I mean, he's throwing lines at me that you would think a jazz musician can pick up fast. But the lines were something, but it's just a format in the music that was a whole nother thing that you had to learn. So anyway, I'm just in this world where I just learned, been able to find people that would put me in these situations and kind of give me a little bit of room to kind of feel my way out and learn, and then allow me to kind of be on it. Because I didn't come in just like being a cat that can just like memorize music fast, but I've had great mentors that allow me to, you know, have a little blemishes and make a couple mistakes and kind of file my way in. But the main thing is that, you know, like I was saying before, they kind of knew that I'll be a guy that can kind of just come in and just be ready to just, when it comes down to me playing my horn, they knew once I stayed in that chair that I was going to be able to do that. And that's just one thing that I've, I don't know, that's just an interesting thing that
Tim, I'm curious, like what in life prepared you to play with Mary J. and Aretha Franklin? Like, what did your mama do? You know, like, what did she? Something happened in your life because, you know, most people can't do that, bro.
Bro, those gigs, we were I was a part of house bands with Adam Blackstone.
Oh,
yeah, we
really?
were part of. Okay. Yeah, we were part of a house band. with
Oh,
Aretha Franklin. I was a part of a house band with the Ricky Minor band, which was just like an amazing experience. And Aretha Franklin, she was one of the artists. It was a tribute to Clive Davis, that Netflix special that he came out with. So we did a
yeah.
whole show with all of his artists to put it on. Kenny G was there, Jennifer Hudson, like I
Woo.
said before. So all of them were there. So we were just in the house, man. Earth, Wind, and Fire was there. Just everybody was there. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, that music. My father is a singer, and he played Luther Vandross around the house. He played BBC Winans Commission. He would play classical music. He played all these different genres. So in my ear, when I was in school, along with myself and my brother was a musician as well, we listened to so much music. So when it was time for us to just be musicians, I never had like, okay, I want to be a jazz alto saxophone player. That was
There we
never
go.
that was necessarily not my like my thing. I was just kind of soaking up everything as I was moving through life.
Right.
I said, okay, I want to be good on my instrument, and I love jazz, and this is what I do. But I never kind of set out to be. I don't know. I just that was never a goal of mine to be like,
Right.
okay, I want to be, this and this and that. So anyway, my family and my mom, my dad, they played a ton of music around the house, and that kind of helped me soak some things in because when we were in that rehearsal with the Aretha Franklin, man, this was like some old school stuff. And all the cats who have played and done gigs with her,
Yep.
charts that they have for that book are the same charts from like the 1960s.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you almost have to know the tunes, which we all pretty much know for the most part. We
Right.
know the stabs, we know different things of that tune. So like if you look at the chart, you're not gonna be able to read it. So you kind of
Right.
got to have some type of idea of how these songs go. And fortunately, Aretha Franklin has all number one hits that we all know. So we can at least play the stabs. And when it gets to the bridge, I'm a little funny, but we play and something in the chorus or something like that. So
Yeah. So wait, so I want to back up to Blackstone. Where were you? Like, how does that come about? Because that's a serious person to be affiliated with it, and he's kind of like dealing with all the major hitters
yeah,
for a period there. You know what I mean?
right. It's deep. I met Adam when we were in summer camp together in Philly, and he was
Oh,
playing upright bass. I was 16, maybe he was 16 too. I went to University of Arts for a summer camp. And the first time I met Adam, he was playing upright bass. And we were in the same summer camp together. So we were playing Autumn Leaves, playing There'll Never Be Another You, and playing
wow. Okay.
all the jazz summer camp hits, right?
Mhm.
So next thing you know, I moved to New York and come to LA, and I look at what was that, Jay-Z, what's the one where they were at Madison Square Garden and the Dave Chappelle special? And I'm like, hold on, that's
Oh
Adam.
yeah, yeah,
I'm talking about the cookout with
yeah, yeah.
Dave Chappelle and the Blackout with Jay-Z and the Roots. And I was like, oh, that's Adam. That's my man. I was like, wow, man, this is like so we got back in touch together. And I was in LA at the time, and I got a chance to see him out there maybe once or twice. When I moved back, I was like, wow, man, like let's connect, let's hook up. And then, we were just kind of friends from that. And next thing you know, he just started calling me for things, and
Okay.
we just started working together with my good friend Dante Winslow on some things here and there. So, and it's the same thing. Like it's half charts, it's half reading them by heart, but it was definitely not conventional. It's all about feel. That's one thing that Adam kind of embodies about what he does is he reads music and he understands music on a technical level, but he really gets music first through the way it's supposed to be gotten, which is through hearing. And he kind
Absolutely.
of translates that all through the ear. So yeah, so that's how I hooked up with Adam. So we did a ton of some stuff together, man, and it's been great, man. Good friend of mine, and happy to
Nice.
perform, man. He's amazing.
Man, can I ask you? You kind of mentioned earlier that you didn't initially set out to become like a jazz alto player,
Right.
and I'm just wondering like what inspired you to kind of go more in that direction, versus doing any other genre of music. I mean, because you're such an accomplished, musician first of all, but like a great jazz musician at all. Totally playing with the cats.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I don't know. I always just wanted to. Thing was, my dad would play these records. He played this GRP All Star Big Band
Yeah.
Record, you know that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know
Come
that.
on. Come on.
Man, that was the one. That's the record that just, man, it changed my whole thing, man. So anyway, he played that record for us. My dad had this huge speaker system in the basement. He had the tweezers on top. He had a subwoofer underneath of the record player, the two speakers. So anyway, we would go to this place called Mars Music, and he came home with this record. He put it on, and it was just, man, that whatever that feeling, man, whatever that thing is, those vibrations, that thing, man, whatever caught me that day, that was the thing that I just wanted to get to in the music. And then jazz is just that idiom, the freest idiom where you can get to that feeling for the most part. So I mean, you could play in church and be playing with whoever, and you get that same feeling. You can be on stage with whoever, get that same feeling. I mean, that's the thing that I'm searching for. I'm just searching for that same vibe, that energy that I experienced when I was a child. So
Hmm.
it's kind of what I'm after in the music for the most part,
Yeah, yeah. That's what's up, man. I love that, man. Like coming up listening to music is very like, the music my mom listened to, and I'm sure the music that Greg's mom's parents listen to is just with you forever.
Right.
You came up in Baltimore. That's how y'all say it, right?
Yeah, Baltimore. Put the
Oh,
D in there. Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up there musically? Was it kind of like The Wire? You was doing the thing with like.
That's the first. That is always the next question. Is like Baltimore, the why. It just always happens like that. But no, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't rough, but it was. It's Baltimore. You gotta. It's just what we do. I don't know. I'm here, so just like I don't know. It's just what it is. I live in Baltimore, moved back here, and I love it, man. This is my city. This is where I
Yeah.
feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Everything that's around here, it just makes me feel like I'm at home. That's what I grew up in. And so anyway, so what was your question again? Sorry, what was it like?
Just musically, what was it like coming up there?
Oh,
Like,
okay. It was it was heavily blues. It was heavily blues drenched, as what my teachers say. It was all about the blues down here, man. It's just if you're not playing the blues, then you're not really dealing. It's about the organ trio,
mm,
R. Blakey, Sonny Stitt, Stanley Turrentine. I mean, just all the soul cats. Excuse me, down here. That's what it means to be in Baltimore. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a club called the Sportsman's Lounge, which was
mhm,
just like a smoky kind of dive type of place that we used to go on Monday nights. And I was also at the Baltimore School for the Arts, where I was where I studied for high school. So we're studying classical music, and then we'll also be, going out to jam sessions. You know what I mean? At this place where it was just all about the blues. They're like, man, no matter what you learning, like you're going to play a blues. So it's just all about the blues down here. You know what I mean? That's what it's all
yeah.
about.
Well, I know about the blues because I'm from Mississippi, dog.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
if I don't know nothing, I know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you, bro.
That's crazy, man. When you came and did a masterclass for my high school kids a couple months back, I was so not surprised, but I was relieved to hear you tell them that you had studied so much classical music, because a lot of times I get I feel like I'm like a broken record as a teacher trying to get these cats to check some classical stuff out and express the importance of that. And so, man, was there like a jazz department over there in high school, or was it just like a classical thing that you were doing?
Yeah, it was a classical thing. Dr. Chris Ford, who is like the premier classical teacher, he taught Antonio Hart, Mark Gross, all the alto cast that came out of Baltimore for the most part. So yeah, that was a classic. We were dealing with the E-Bear, the Boza, all that stuff. You had to deal with that stuff, and like to survive. You had to make sure your embouchure was right, breathing is right. That was serious. You wasn't going nowhere until that was ready. Anyway, and then they had a jazz program as well, and that was run by Mr. David Stambler, who was an amazing teacher as well. That kind of so a lot of stuff. But the classical thing, I tell a story all the time about the time I had some random time. I had some time to spend with Kenny Garrett when we had this festival playing together, and I just asked Kenny, I was like, "Could we play? You mind? We shared together, or the case may be." So I went down to his room, like, you know, get ready to shed. Maybe we're going to play Cherokee or Giant Steps or two up, one across, or whatever, one down, two up. So I go down to his room, and he has that the bowls of improv and caprice down there.
Wow.
Which the first movement is like improv. The second part is his fast things. So he's down there just shedding that, and I'm like, okay, that confirmed it to me, is that those guys are like in the room, like shedding that technique on their instrument, like trumpet players do. It's like no trumpet player, no great trumpet players you talk to that they're not dealing with those technical books. My brother played trumpet all day. He was home with the Arbans trying to figure that thing out. You know what I mean? We'll get to Lee Morgan, like the last hour of his practice, but like the first two, he's in there trying to figure out the Arbans. So
right.
It was a big deal trying to figure out the technique and classical stuff.
Yeah, you know, Greg is a classical musician at heart, you know, but
man,
there's more than anybody, man. He's got man. I'm trying to share as much as Greg, man. Really, man. As an inspiration. It's all day, man. 3 hours a day, Greg.
Man, I'm just trying to play like you, man. That's really what it comes down to. And also, now that I'm a teacher, I'm like really trying not to get piped at school. Like there's a couple cats in there who can play, and I'm like, I'm not going down like that, you know?
I finished out auditions at Peabody, and it is it's some ridiculous alto play. I mean, I'm like, oh, time for Chad, man. This is crazy. There's great young musicians out there. So
I love it. Man, one time when I was in school, Alvin Baptiste told me, he was like, it's my goal as a teacher is that you sound better than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, all right.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a great goal as a teacher to have for your student.
Yeah.
Man, why don't we take a minute now and let the people hear what it sounds like when a jazz musician can play anything. How about that? And this next tune, I don't know which record of yours is from, but it's a tune. It's called Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Which one of your records is this on?
That's from songs from this season, and Pinocchio by Wayne Shorter, and it's Chris Funnel on bass and Rodney Green on drums.
Hey, see, that's why I loved it right there. Here we go, Pinocchio. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Taking me back to when I was like 15, playing Pinocchio over and over and over, trying to get good. And you guys killed it just as much as they did back then. You know what I mean? It's as good as the original to me, man.
Oh no, too many notes. Wayne was way more. I gotta learn to play. It's tough to play like that over that tune. It's like, oh.
You know, the most impressive part to me was that you released this on your own record label. So I would like to talk about your record label and the importance of Black entrepreneurship,
Oh
especially in the music space.
yeah, I mean it's super important. I'm like, there's been opportunities, or folks will offer me something to sign a record deal, which really, I mean, it depends on what the company is, but there's so many grants out here that you can get. Maryland Arts Council down here has grants for independent artists for you to get. I mean, all you need is the money for mixing and mastering and recording, and you got your whole record right there, and you own it. It's all yours. You know what I mean? And if you can, and also, get the money for, your publicist and everything like that. And depending on how much money you can get for a publicist, you can be in Jazz Times, or you can be on a billboard outside. It's just,
That's true.
you can be in Ebony Magazine, or you can be in what's that one, Rolling Stone or something like that. Depending on so
how much money you got for your publicist.
Exactly. That's how
you
it
gotta
goes.
pay to play. You gotta pay to play.
I mean that's the game. I mean, it's like these publicists. I mean, that's the part of the game that you learn. It's like, okay, everything is about how much money you have to hire the right publicist to get you in those magazines, because one publicist who has the contacts for Jazz Times or Downbeat is going to be cheaper than a publicist who has a contact for Rolling Stone and whatever other blogs to put you on. And that's the way it goes. I mean, I learned that through I'm just kind of doing my research and trying to find a publicist. And so that's the game. It's just like, how much publicity can you afford for the most part outside of your own music? I'm talking about press. I mean, the music is going to have its way and get to where it needs to get, but the other side of it with the publicist is another avenue of it. And that's part of the game. That's still it's just one of them things. I finished my whole record, and they were like, look, man, you don't put this out yet, you need to get a publicist. And I was like, what? I started calling around, and expensive, but it's worth it because you need to get in those avenues, and we don't have the contacts, and we'll have the representation that these publicists have built up in order to stuff out there. So anyway, it's super important. I own it, the masters. If anybody wants to use my music, they have to call me, pay a licensing fee, and whatever the case may be. I've heard stories about cats that have done. I mean, it happens both. I mean, it works both ways. Like being independent and also being on a label has its benefits as well. But like I've heard stories about cats getting their music and some company wanting to license it for a whatever commercial. It's your music, but because the record label owns the masters, they're gonna want to get a percentage of the royalty, even though it's your music. But the other part of it is that if that label didn't have the money to put into the album, the publicity to put in the album, nobody would have ever heard your song. So it works both ways. It's like a DJ and the artist. Like you need a DJ to play your music for free so it can get out there. But the artist is like, oh man, you playing my music. It's just like this reciprocal thing. But anyway, so I own my music, and I do have songs on other record labels as well. So I'm waiting for that call from Disney, or wait for that call for some commercial or something like that to do that. But I've been able to be okay with whatever. There's some money out there for royalties and stuff like that. So it's okay. So if you own it, you have it.
I feel like that's like one of the most heartbreaking things to go through as a musician and as an artist, is that day when you realize like it actually doesn't matter how well you play. Like Rolling Stone is not going to write about you because you're the baddest.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah.
Flautist in the world. They're going to write about you because you have a publicist.
Yes,
that's right.
But I mean, and that's how I was trying to like always. That's man, and it's such a heartbreaking day because it's like I feel like a lot of us are like believing in these jazz myths or these like these things that if you're the best, the whole world will open itself to you, which is not a lie, at
Right.
all, but it's a half truth in some
Right.
ways, man. So I appreciate hearing you say
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
But,
Because Tim Wayne had a good publicist in Miles and Train and all
right,
those dudes. They
right,
had the machine behind them. And a
right,
whole
right,
they had a label too, but it was,
right.
times are different, but you need that machine
Yeah.
to obtain a certain amount of success, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And and the music as well is a big publicist too. It'll get you where you need to be as well. You know what I mean? But sometimes when that extra little layer of a publicist that knows something that's outside of the music that we can't understand it being an artist. That's the one thing about being a I tell people all the time about being an independent artist is that you don't have any deadlines, you don't have any A&Rs, you don't have anybody telling you to put this album out tomorrow. You have to put it out tomorrow because it has to go and do this and this and that. We can
Right.
sit on it all day. There's no A&Rs, nobody pushing us to do anything. So there's no deadline. So yeah, it's important to own your stuff as much as you can and try to put your own music on stuff, so you can get some real. It is money in that. Like, I feel like a lot of jazz musicians, like a lot of musicians, just in general, like they kind of play down that part of the music industry. Like, you listen to like all these jingles on these commercials, and like my son watching Disney or watching these YouTube pages or whatever the case may be. I'm like, man, I know about 100 cats who could have wrote a better tune than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like something about that thing, that other side of it, we're writing and publishing and stuff like that. A lot of us, we just really don't think about it, but it's definitely out there for the taking. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, man. So that's a good piece to kind of to land on there. Just that entrepreneurship, just for people who just getting here. We were just talking about the importance of Black entrepreneurship, and
Yeah,
Tim has a record label called True Melody Music. So y'all go look that up and buy everything on that label.
yeah, absolutely.
And so I did want to talk to you about genre, because you kind of briefly mentioned earlier that you weren't really trying to be a jazz musician. You were just trying to be good at the saxophone.
Right.
But also, you don't really, I mean, I read off just a few of the people you played with earlier, and you don't really adhere to like a genre per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like
got you. Yeah.
what do you call yourself? Like
Oh,
what?
yeah, it's deep. When I put out my album, it was just funny to see what like these different reviewers was writing about. And one cat called me like a post bop modern gospel. I don't know what he called me. I was like, where's that post bop gospel Pat Metheny? Like,
Oh no.
I see where you're going and I understand it, but okay, if that works for you, that's cool. Like,
Right.
so that's fine. I don't even really, I don't know, man. That I'm just trying to chase the music, like just trying to be a servant of the music. It's just one huge
Mhm.
umbrella for me. I mean, if you follow me on my Facebook or my Instagram, one day I'm putting up Sonny Stitt, and the next day I'm putting up Jay-Z. Another day I'm
Right.
putting up I don't know what. I can go anywhere, but it's just the music that I love so much in any form, man. Like that's one thing with my last album. I had so many different musicians. My last album because I love just playing with so many different people, and I just love every different style of so many my peers that play music really well. So I don't really put a cap on. I just love the music, and I just love to play the music and whatever feels good to me, and it kind of just goes in that way. And however it's kind of whatever titles put on it, post bop, modern gospel, Pat Metheny, bebop. I don't know whatever they put on it. That's cool. But that's just my way of just my way. So I don't know. I don't put in the genre. I just don't like. I can be if I'm on the stage. Like I said, it was a moment before the pandemic hit and all that stuff hit where I was on while we playing with Michael Bublé, and then the next day I'll be flying to New York to play with Eric Reed,
Right.
and this feeling like listening to Michael on stage singing, man, these American classics. I'm just listening to this guy. Like, it's ridiculous. That same vibe, man, of the music is the same vibe that you get when you playing, in the clubs in New York. You know what I mean? Cats have the same
Right.
spirit, same energy. about the music. So it's just the music that I love, you know what I mean, for the most part. So
Yeah.
Man,
I respect that.
So what are, you said you were kind of chasing that feeling that you had when you were a kid. Like, what is there like a particular musical experience that you've had that like really, that you felt connected with that energy and it maybe stands out in your life?
um I want it's a lot. Like there was one time I was playing with Margaret Miller and we were playing in Disney, and it was the last night. The Margaret is always that because it's like blues and just it's always that feeling. Just a higher level that happens sometimes when you're on stage, of course, as y'all know. And it was the last night. And last night, the Sunday, we're playing 6 nights or something. And then Margaret was just so nice. And we were playing in this Wingspan band and everybody's stretching. But this night, he was just like taking these long cadenzas and like playing the ballads and just like really stretching out. And it's just like, you can feel that it was just like, okay, the stage is lifted. It's just time for him to right now take this thing and just do his whole thing right now. And just everybody was just kind of on stage just watching. And that night, man, like I think my hotel was like down on like in the village somewhere. Man, I walked home in a suit. Like I didn't want to get on the subway. I didn't want anything to like get in the way of that moment. I said, man, I'm gonna walk home. I don't want a train to be late. I don't want to just anything that's take me out of that musical space. It was so heavy then. I was like, wow. And so yeah, it's just that was one, but it happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes people who don't play music, they don't really know what that's like, or they don't even know that they can experience it too. Sometimes you're gonna have a high level experience just eating food.
Right. Yeah.
You down in New Orleans, you get you a good po' boy.
Look.
But you can have an experience having a conversation. It's not just artists, maybe playing basketball or whatever you do. You can kind of have that high level experience where you just want to sit on it for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's one of the things. It always brings me back to trying to just chase that moment, just whatever it is, and also try to create that for yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have those times like to play and really get into a zone, you can get into that moment. But just being on the bandstand with musicians who, I mean, Eric Reed does the same thing. Cyrus does the same thing. I've been blessed, man, to play with like some of the most incredible piano players. I was thinking about this the other day. I played with Margaret, with Cyrus, I played with Eric Reed, and I played with Larry Willis as well.
Wow,
so
crazy.
I've been able to like kind of carve this niche out with like playing with piano players. And anytime like say, okay, you need like a saxophone player, or some promoters like, okay, maybe add a saxophone player or something like that. So I've been able to do those type of gigs, but it's always incredible, man, just hearing those guys like play, stretch out, and just really embodying like that true orchestral spirit about the piano. You know what I mean? That
Absolutely.
kind of develop into something just super, super big. So yeah, bro. Hopefully I can share it and get there tonight. We'll see.
Just out of curiosity, amongst all those cats that you just mentioned, like, do they have anything in common that you've like checked out between them?
It was always I was thinking like those like they're like concert virtuosic pianists, like coming out of the lane of what's the Tifa 2? What's the piano player that played? Yeah, man, I can't remember. Margaret tell about it. Anyway, but they embody that same concert pianist vibe that's mixed with the blues and mixed with just like chord changes and advanced harmony. You know what I mean? So between all of them, it's just like the blues, concert piano chops, on top of like a sophisticated level of musicianship and harmony. So it's like you kind of got to be at some point ready to kind of go there, and man, and you get left behind a lot. Like seriously, like I played with Cyrus, and we have been doing like one gig like every 2 months. And I can tell that Cyrus is like, okay, I'm going to lay something on him. Like, every gig I'm going to see where these cats are. It's like playing with one of the, Cyrus, not an elder statesman, but he's just one of those cats. he's one of the goats and whatever you want to say. But this one night he's like, all right, so we've been doing this ballet. We'll be together again every night. And this specific night, he was like, all right, well, let's just do this duo. So in my mind, I'm like, whoa, 1 second. I mean, I know we've been playing this gig. It's been cool, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready to play a duet with Cyrus Chestnut. You know what I mean? Like, there's another level of sophistication and mastery and musicianship to be like musician to musician. That's how I saw. I was like, whoa. So that was one of those nights. I was like, whoa, I got some work to do, man. Like, I gotta get to see. I was like, so anyway, so that's the thing. It's the blues. It's sophisticated musicianship and harmony mixed with a concert pianist, man. It's amazing. So.
Yo, man, I before we got a few more minutes. Before we go, I do want to talk about the future of music.
Yeah.
And because you've been creating virtual music or virtual concerts.
Right.
Where, and when I say that, I mean you weren't in the same room with people. Basically, you guys are kind of pre-recording stuff and putting it together. But I kind of want to pick your brain since we're in the middle of a pandemic. Today is what's February 22nd, 2021. Right. So what do you think the future of music is going to be?
I think everything will go back to where it was before. I think it's no question that it has to, because like I was saying, like we were just in these auditions and there's so many musicians coming. Like I'm like, dude, like, do y'all know what's out here? Like we're shut down. There's no gigs. You know what I mean? Like, and I was thinking to myself, like, maybe my teacher when I was at MSM may have told me like the same thing. Like, look, do you know what you're getting into here? Like, there has to be, the music is going to live. Somebody's going to be inspired to open the club. The music is that powerful that there's no way that it's not going to happen. I mean, if anything, I heard somebody saying, we always take from the music. What are you going to give to? Like, somebody's going to open something up. Something's going to happen, especially in New Orleans. I mean, cats are going to play no matter what. Same thing. We're going to figure something out. I think the music is going to keep going. I mean, it has to keep going. There's so many musicians that have more to say. It just has to happen. Just like this, just like the way the world works. It's just, we all doctors and trying to figure out where we're going to get a job is not, it's going to be there. It's a call and it's going to happen. So maybe the way that it happens might be a little different, but I think we're going to be fine. I think everything's cool.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too, because I got a baby to feed. So
yeah, right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I think, I mean, like, it's crazy. Like every generation has this things that they have to push through. Bird and all okay. What they dealt with. You know what I mean? We're dealing with segregation and dealing with racism, man. Like that didn't stop them. They didn't even have cell phones, anything to call home. Those cats, Charlie Parker moved to New York from Kansas City and couldn't even talk to his family. Like, like just imagine that. Yeah. So every generation has its different setbacks. You know what I mean? So this just happens to be the one for this generation, and we'll all get through it. You know what I mean? In another 20 years, it'll be something else. I'm like, man, you remember that time? Miles, like, remember that time? This and that. They all talk about those war stories, and we're gonna be talking about this like it's one of those war stories. So I'm just on the positive side of it. And to be honest, the students and the young musicians that I've been meeting kind of been inspiring me, because they're not stopping, man. Like, they're playing, man. They sound so killing. They're like, look, this is what I do. I'm gonna play, so I got to do it. So that's been inspiring me more, is like the younger musicians coming up, because they still at it. They're not quitting. They still going. You know what I mean? So
that's beautiful. Yeah.
That's killing, man. I like it. The music makes it happen. I like it.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm definitely tired these whatever they call them, man. These box things. Man.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man.
Let's get back to work.
Yeah, I'm like, I do these videos and I'm like trying to be like a a magician or something, man. Like trying to figure out what this cat was thinking before he played. So it sound like we played together. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's weird,
Yeah.
you know.
It's so weird.
It's strange, man. It's
But
strange.
look, Tim, man, we're coming to the end here, man. Before we go, I do want to give you an opportunity to tell the people where to connect with you, where to buy all your stuff,
Okay.
and and
And
you're
also, you got
you're
a gig
playing
coming up.
gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing gigs. So
One
if
man
you're in
in town with a
Baltimore,
gig.
yeah, tell them about that.
Let me see. What are we doing? Yeah, so you can follow me on Tim Green Music everywhere on Instagram. My website is timgreenmusic.com. On Facebook, I think it's Tim Green Music 1. It's my page on there. I can't think of anything. Yeah, I'm doing a gig at On Day Music down here with my good buddy Craig Austin in a couple of weeks. And that's pretty much about it for now. Everything is and I'm at Peabody Conservatory. I'm teaching there, and different things like that. So that's pretty much about it. Everything is local, and just teaching online, doing different things, couple gigs here and there, and trying to stay safe.
Okay, cool. If a kid is watching this or listening to this on a podcast, they want to get a lesson, they just hit you on the email or
Yeah,
DM
they
you.
could.
What are you?
Yeah, they can DM me. They can send me email at timgreenmusic@gmail.com. That's green, just like the color.
That's important. That's important. That's
Yeah.
important.
Oh, that's
All
killing.
right,
Well,
cool.
Yeah.
man, Tim, I appreciate your time so much. You know, you're a true inspiration. It was a pleasure getting to sit next to you and play a section with you, man. That was totally one of the coolest things ever, man. So thank you so much. And yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. Darian, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you
Oh,
for
thank
having
you.
me on here. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been a good time. I really enjoyed this. So
I
anytime.
appreciate you. Well, Tim,
All right.
I will say my goodbyes, but I appreciate you coming on. My name is Darian Douglas, and this is the Working Artist Project.
All right,
We'll
y'all.